she's like an intern. She's got 137 followers on Instagram. Dio said, I bet she has 50,000 in a month. And I'm like, you're right.
Go in your backyard with a baseball bat and smash a can. Did it once, nothing happened. She posted a second day. She posted the third day. She got almost 30 million views.
I still don't really understand it. Maybe, the algorithm just pushed it out. And to me, it is kind of insane that can happen.
Like a lot of people are like, this was all planned. I'm like, man, I wish this was like as planned as well as it went.
And it was also this very weird dynamic too, where it was me, but it wasn't me. Still, right now, it's me, but it's not me because people know Nicole the Intern.
Right.
They don't know Nicole Wingard.
Welcome back to the Travis Makes Friends podcast, where I interview some of the world's most interesting people and ask the questions that everybody wants to know the answers to. I've had some conversations on here with Shaquille O'Neal and Rob Dyrdek and so many others. And today I am talking to Nicole Wingard and Mike Chambers. You might also know them as the people behind Smash Army. So most of my interviews, for those of you who watch the show, know that all of these are done in person. And we made a commitment a couple years ago when we started doing more YouTube videos that we wanted to do all of our interviews in person. Well, every once in a while, something comes up and it makes sense for us to just record it on Zoom. And this was one of those times. So basically the context here is that this Instagram account started with 0 followers a couple months ago. And then it grew from 0 to over 500,000 followers in under 60 days. And the whole premise was there's an intern that was saying, 60 days to prove to my boss that smashing cans will perform better than his best marketing idea or something like that. And their goal is basically to sell this non-alcoholic beverage that used to be called Mixoloshe. And then through that campaign, it ended up actually going through a rebrand, and now it's called Smashed because they were just smashing cans. Grew a ton of following. It grew their sales in the business by over 800% in 60 days. They collected over 100,000 email opt-ins during this campaign. It just went bananas. And the way that I actually found it was they did a collab with Gary Vaynerchuk at the very end of the campaign. And what's crazy is Gary actually knew about this account. He brought it up in an episode of Modern Wisdom with Chris Williamson. And I remember hearing that on that episode and then finding that account and going like, oh, that must have been that account that he was talking about. So it's just this crazy story. And as soon as I saw the whole thing unfold, I was like, I got to have a conversation with people just to kind of get the behind the scenes on what happened, how it happened, how much of it was planned, how much of it wasn't planned. And so I have a feeling that a lot of you from Smash Army are going to be watching this episode. So I tried to get all the questions answered that you all probably have about the campaign, the duration, what's next, all those types of things, and really tell the story here. So basically what happened is I had an initial conversation with them on Zoom, and then I wanted to get some more footage in and wanted to get something done in person. And so I flew out to Dallas, Texas, which is where Nicole is based. And I had a couple other interviews lined up. I was speaking at an event out there. And so it just kind of worked out for me to go ahead and sit down and do a part 2 to this conversation. So in this interview, in this episode, it'll be a little bit, non-traditional in terms of the way that we usually do things here, because we're going to have the first conversation, which is with Mike and Nicole. And it was very much more like the strategic end and where the ideas came from. Like, again, we talk a lot about the numbers, like how many cans were smashed, how many followers they gained, how many email subscribers they got, the increase in sales and revenue that was done through this campaign, all those types of things. And then I sit down with Nicole and we have a more kind of candid conversation about her life, her experiences, the broader landscape of social media and marketing as a whole, at least as she sees it. And so both these conversations I thought went really well, and we got a lot of really great stuff from it. And like I said, it tells the story. So if you're from Smash Army, welcome to the Travis Makes Friends podcast. Be sure to stick around and listen to both conversations with Mike and Nicole, and then with Nicole separately. And I'm sure that you will enjoy where we ended up taking this episode. So without further ado, here is Mike Chambers and Nicole Wingard from the new company, now smashed.com, without the SMASHD.com, smash.com. So go ahead and check out all of their stuff over there, and hope you enjoy this episode. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. Travis Makes Friends. Now, you guys know that the majority of our interviews are in person these days. And I do think that we're going to be able to sit down with today's guests, multiple, in person here in the next few months. But I didn't want the in-person scheduling to get in the way of the timing of this interview. So we have both Mike Chambers and Nicole Wingard with us. Nicole's in the car. Mike's at his place down in Costa Rica. And I had to do a wrap up on this interview, on this conversation, because of the unique timing and the unique campaign that they ran and the insane success that they had with it. So Mike, Nicole, welcome to the Travis Makes Friends podcast.
Thanks so much, Travis. You. Yeah, and thanks so much for accommodating the remote recording. We're just wrapping up now, basically 60 plus days of just crazy shoots and traveling and being on the road. And I hadn't been home in 3 weeks, so I needed to take a pause from the chaos and get back down here. But we appreciate your flexibility.
Yes, sir. Of course. So I know that there's a ton of stuff that the Smash Army wants to know about this campaign. And we're going to uncover that as we move throughout the rest of this conversation. But I do want to go back in time and build a little bit of context for maybe those listening who are not completely familiar with everything that happened or everything that went down. Let's start with the very beginning of this. And I'll direct this question to Mike. Mike, tell me about Mixoloshe, the company, where it come from, the core, the mission, and how long you guys have been in business. Just a brief history of the beverage company you guys have been working with.
Mixoloshe was founded by a really great female entrepreneur by the name of Christina Roth, and her journey into starting Mixoloshe really started with her own, she had some health issues and she decided that she wanted to stop drinking. And then realized that there were really very limited options in the non-alcoholic cocktail space for those who were sort of making, that decision. And so she last fall partnered with another co-founder, a very well-known co-founder by the name of Zayn Malik, who's the One Direction guy. So the company's sort of origin is from Christina and Zayn. But effectively, Mixoloshe, now smashed, we sell non-alcoholic cocktail products that are designed to taste like the real thing. So these are like old fashions, mojitos, all of the sort of core staple cocktails that you would normally get, but just without the alcohol. And really, like, again, the value prop here is like, we want to make these different from just, they kind of taste minty and they're a mojito. We've really designed the flavor profiles around these things so it does have the same sort of feeling and taste and experience as you would if you were, drinking a cocktail. And it's really largely modeled after like what a lot of the non-alcoholic beer companies had so much success with over the last couple of years, like Athletic Brewing and several others. So I started working with Mixoloshe in a very limited capacity as an advisor kind of last fall as Christina was gearing up to launch this. My background is in sort of media, the intersection of like media and tech. I've started a few different companies. I've worked in television. I've done a couple different things. And so she sort of brought me in to help craft her go-to-market strategy. And then, that's sort of how it all kind of, came to be.
Sweet. Nicole, I want to hear your perspective now on Mixoloshe as a company, and then also when you entered the picture and in what capacity.
I had recently quit my corporate job as an IT recruiter last summer, and I was looking for something else to do. And I had also just decided to do a challenge of a year of no drinking. So I started that May 20th, 2023. And I was really interested, much like Christina, in the NA Bev space and wanted to find other options that I could still drink when going out to the bars or different events with friends. And I was looking for jobs on LinkedIn, came across Christina's profile and was just obsessed with her and everything she had done, read articles about her, and I knew I wanted to work for her. So it turns out I had a connection to her, and I was able to get on a phone call, and I basically asked for a job, and she was like, no, in a super nice way, basically, said, hey, we're a startup and we can't really bring you on at this time. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay. And I saw that as the door kind of still cracked open. She was like, keep checking in with me and maybe things will change. So for about a month, I just texted her every week and said, hey, I'm still here. And eventually I offered to work for free. I was like, really, I just want to learn from you. I'll do anything. And at that point she said, okay, I'll make you an intern and you can start off working. I think it was 25 hours a week for us. So that was in August. And I just started making some content. And then and from there, then that's when Mike came on and kind of this whole thing started.
Okay. How old are you, Nicole?
I'm 24.
24. So
yes,
I love this for multiple reasons. Number one, anytime I have like a 20 something, like a young 20 something that asks me for like career advice or, how do I go make more money or whatever, it's the exact thing that you did is what I tell them to do. So it's always good to see that like there's real life examples of the advice that you're giving and it's not just a bunch of bullshit. But it's literally just like, go find somebody that's doing really, really well in something that you want to be doing well in. Somebody who you respect, somebody who you admire, somebody who you want to emulate in multiple aspects of their life, and do whatever you possibly can do to get around that person is literally my advice to people. Like if you have to, work for free. If they'll let you clean up, get them coffee or whatever it is, like just go get around those people because like your 20s are more for learning than they are for earning. And if you prioritize earning over learning in your 20s, then you're sacrificing long-term gains for like short-term satisfaction and increased status with your friends because you have a higher salary out of college that doesn't even really matter once you get into your 30s and your 40s. So first of all, you crushed it. Good job on doing that. Now on moving into the company, operations and things like that, Mike, when you came on board, were you literally helping them launch the product like day one?
Yeah, I looked back because I needed to verify this, but like I started sort of around the time we launched the Zane, launched with Zayn Malik in the fall of last year.
Okay.
As like a fractional CMO. So we were I was like helping manage go to market, managing the sort of setting up the marketing infrastructure, on the back end for the direct to consumer business. And yeah, managing kind of all the social, organic and paid performance marketing, everything. Was
the model always 100% D2C?
No, and it still isn't actually. It's funny. Like a lot of people don't realize that. No, beverage is really, really expensive to ship. And if you look at some of the, the big names in beverage like Prime or Liquid Death or Poppy, a lot of these other brands, they don't even have a direct to consumer business. They actually direct everyone to Amazon and go, 1P with Amazon. So no, we do. We are now in 1,500 Walmart stores. We are slowly ramping up our off-premise distribution. We're in Bevmo, Albertsons, and we have some other bigger chain stores that are going to be launching here in the near future. So it just takes time. The off-premise distribution takes time, and you can be really fast with direct to consumer.
Yeah.
So like we really look at the digital marketing efforts as ultimately just the way that we're going to make people in store aware of our products in the same way that our competitors do.
Beverages are such a tough category. It's crazy that you guys are able to come in and capture some market share. It's just such a difficult like you said, the margins are just they're squeezed, it seems like, at every single level. They just keep squeezing and squeezing and squeezing, and
there's so many players in the space.
There's competitor after competitor that pop up every day. So where were the initial marketing efforts going, and at what point did you realize like was there a point where you were like, this, what we're doing right now isn't working, we need to try something off the wall and crazy that we could use for social impact? Or like what was the
I mean, it's a really good question. So like there were a couple layers. The brand had been established prior to me hopping on board, and we spent the first couple months after we launched the brand like trying to get an understanding of like who we are. Like, the name of the company was Mixoloshe. It was a play on mixology, which is, the art of making cocktails. And like, we were really heavily marketing towards females. But what we were hearing from consumers were like, actually, no, I want this product. Like we were hearing from men, like, no, I actually love that old fashioned. That old fashioned's amazing. I would buy it, but I wouldn't be caught dead holding a can that said Mixoloshe on it. So we were hearing this customer feedback and we were like, okay, like that's problematic. And then the second issue was, the name was really hard for people to pronounce. Like we had people all over the place, like Mixoloshe or Mixoloshe, or like, people would just drop the she entirely and just call it Mixolo. And it's really hard to build a brand off of, and people have done it, it's been done for sure. But
it's the danger of made up words. That's for
exactly.
Sure.
Totally. It's a total uphill battle. So, I have a background in sort of running several, organic social accounts for other brands. And I found a tactic that works really well kind of early on is to not focus so much on actually creating your own content, but to license content that has proven to do well already, viral content that's been proven to do well already, that will resonate with your target demographic. So these just to like kind of speak in basic terms, like really relatable meme moments that are going to resonate with the consumer, the audience that you're trying to get in front of.
Okay.
And then use that to sort of like hack the top of your paid funnel. So anyhow, we were doing a lot of this like licensing of content that would be interesting to like moms or athletes or pregnant women or
Sure.
And kind of using that as like a testing ground to get a sense of where we needed to be. But in terms of like building out our brand from the beginning, it was largely centered around one of our co-founders, Zayn Malik, and activating his fan base.
Sure.
Because he's one of the most followed Instagram celebrities in the world.
Yeah.
But all of this to say, we were testing, it hasn't been that long. It's been about 6 months or so. So we were testing all these different things and kept kind of coming up against this friction with the name being hard to pronounce. And I started to have some conversations, like serious conversations about what a rebrand would look like if we were able to do it. And we were just like, no, like we just, it's one thing to rebrand a tech startup where you just have to change the logo on the app and, you're good to go.
Yeah.
But like changing the name of a beverage brand, like you've got product, you've got packaging, you've got, product on shelves, you've got to pull it off. I mean, it's a total nightmare.
Yeah.
So every time we would, that was just like the word that we knew we needed to talk about, but no one wanted to talk about. So it was in the back of our minds, but Nicole and I started working together on like we basically like just started to approach it like you would a startup. And we were like, okay, here are some trends that have seemed to be getting some traction. Let's kind of try and put our own spin on it. And we tested a few different things. Nicole would like test a couple different trends, and we'd like basically let the data inform whether or not we were kind of going in the right direction. Some on TikTok, some on Instagram. And then I came across like earlier this winter, came across this account called Monkey Marketing, which is effectively, I think, probably one of the first accounts to kind of leverage this format. And it was this kid who was saying, he basically was posting a picture of a monkey, and he had a caption on it that was like, 50 days remaining to prove to my marketing professor that this monkey is more effective than his marketing course or something like that.
Mm.
And I saw it, and it was a kind of an aha moment for me. I was like, one, this construct is really kind of cool. This like, it's very clear what you need to do every single day. There's an objective.
Yeah.
It's silly. It's like tapping into this, like, absurdity culture, like the whole meme stock. Like, it's just kind of funny.
It tells a story.
Tells a story. It's like everyone likes to rally behind an underdog.
Yeah.
But the fatal flaw with it was like, it wasn't actually marketing anything. Like there wasn't an actual product that he was selling. He just
wanted to get views on monkey videos.
Just get views. It was just a photo, the same photo every day of a monkey. Yeah. So it was really funny. I was like, this is clever.
Yeah,
like how could we leverage something like this to actually like build a community and generate revenue. So I kind of started thinking about it, and Nicole and I had several conversations about like different ways that we could potentially do it. And then we settled on I remember like just us on a phone call, like, go in your backyard with a baseball bat and smash a can. and she ended up doing that. And that's kind of how it all started. She did it once, nothing happened. She posted a second day, maybe she got a few hundred views and a couple followers. She posted the third day, and slightly different, but kind of the same every day. And on that third day, she got almost 30 million views.
On TikTok or Instagram?
All on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We
Nicole.
think it's because I made this little noise on the third video. You can hear it. And it's so silly, yeah.
And people kept listening over and over for that one.
Yeah.
All right, Nicole, your perspective here. Describe for me your first 4 to 8 weeks working for Mixoloshe before this campaign kicked up. Like what were you doing? What were you involved in? Were you just getting your hands dirty? Like how did you eventually end up in marketing, which is, from what I understand, something that's not in your background?
Right. No, it's not. And I really just dove in head first, and I kind of helped with everything and anything that needed help. So I learned some of the distribution things. I was taught how to deal with all of our platforms, Shopify, Canal, Caro. So the ins and outs of running an e-commerce business, and then the customer service and TikTok. So that was kind of a challenge that was given to me, where Christina said, hey, we don't really have anything on TikTok right now, so why don't you try your hand at videos? And so that was my first little dip in the water with marketing, was just making TikTok videos. And honestly, it was really difficult. And, especially marketing or making TikTok videos for business. I mean, I have a personal account, and doing trends and making videos is it's a different ball game. And so I learned a lot within, let's say, from August to October, of trying different videos, seeing what got views, seeing what didn't, seeing what people engaged with. So it was a really good first learning experience for marketing.
What was really difficult about it for you compared to doing personal?
Well, one, the target audience was kind of a question mark, like what Mike had been saying, where, we were trying to tap into these different audiences. And then also the name was a barrier as well. And then just finding the content to make. A lot of times I would look to what other drink companies were doing. For example, Gia, that's a pretty popular non-alcoholic drink. Dessoir is Katy Perry's one. But the content that they were making, one, I just didn't have the budget to do. A lot of their stuff was really pretty and very beautifully curated.
Yeah.
Posts.
High production value type stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And I just don't think that's also the energy of our brands. Like we're fun, and we don't post these, super aesthetic videos or photos. I just think that's not super what we stand for. And, we are a fun drink brand, and kind of want to smash the idea that being sober, it can't be this fun, crazy thing and still live your life that way. So I also kind of struggled with that, of coming up with original content versus copying what other people were doing.
Now, how long into working for the company did you get assigned to work with Mike, and you guys were kind of like put on this project together?
Immediately when Mike came. Yeah, because Mike, he's a social media connoisseur. So he came on, and then just right away, he had the strategy for Instagram. So I helped him with that. And it was really exciting. Like every idea he had, he's like, okay, let's try this, Nicole. And I'm like, okay, cool. And we tried all these different kind of guerrilla tactics to grow our audience. We even we, Mike, right? We started the Mixoloshe Instagram account from zero because we had issues with the other one being European or made in Europe. So we had to grow Mixoloshe from zero to, I think it has like 92K now or something. So yeah, right away, he just was teaching me all these different things, and we had all these ideas that we'd riff off of each other, and it was really fun.
Did you feel drawn to the marketing department more than like all the other stuff that you were doing?
Definitely. I love making videos. I'm more creative than I ever thought I was. And they're really fun. I mean, it's hard work. It's definitely harder than I thought. And Mike and I say this all the time, that mad respect for content creators. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, because you have such a critical audience that gives you feedback right away. And so you know exactly if they like it, if they don't like it, whatever. So no, I think I was drawn, still am, you know, to the content creation marketing aspect of things.
Okay, so you guys create this brand new Instagram account. The best marketing strategy ever, right, is the handle. Video number 3 pops off to 30 million.
I think it initially went to like 5 or 6 million at the beginning.
Okay.
I think it's now up to like 30 plus million.
Okay.
So it got several million views on video 3. And yeah, that's when we went back to the drawing board.
Were you expecting anything like that early on? Obviously that's the goal, right? But like day 3, it'd be, like, that's just such immediate validation of the idea.
Yeah.
Where you're like,
yeah, I mean, it's so
work.
funny because like the algorithm is such a black box that like, it is kind of like playing a slot machine. Like every time you put a quarter in, like you just never really know what you're going to get. And so I wasn't really surprised. No, I mean, it felt to me like it was such like it's a simple call to action, a simple like thing that people can get behind. We've all had experiences with like, you know, bosses who weren't unsupported, and it was a clear objective, and it was just such a cheap ask. Like all you have to do is follow this person or engage with their content. Yeah. So I don't know that I was surprised when the first video went viral as much as I was surprised with how viral we ended up going in terms of what ended up happening next. Like that to me is, I'm still sort of in a little bit of a disbelief.
How would you describe the following weeks after that first video went viral?
As soon as that video started to go viral, we kind of came together and said, look, like, there is a real opportunity here if we all just focus around this one thing and put everything else on hold for a period of time. We could build something special here.
Who's we all? Like everybody working in marketing, or like all hands on deck?
No, it was really myself. We have someone else who's helping with performance marketing. Christina, who is our CEO. Like our web, everyone in some way, shape, or form, contributed to the success of this thing. This was very much so, Nicole and I were the public face of the campaign, but we had, our kind of core team really supporting in any way they could.
And this was like a legit start. So you guys are less than a dozen employees total?
Oh yeah. Like less than 6. Yeah. Like less than a half dozen. Yeah.
Lean and mean, man. That's how to do it.
Totally scrappy. So we kind of went to the drawing board and we're like, what could this be? What needs to happen in order for it to get to that point? And also, like, is this our on-ramp to a rebrand? And it wasn't right at that third video. It was like, in the coming days, we decided like this is going to be our on-ramp for a rebrand. We filed the trademarks right away, and really kind of went into like storylining out the next the next 55 days of the campaign. I will say, like, it was not like, a lot of people are like, this was all planned. I'm like, man, I wish this was like as planned as well as it went. Cause man, we really would be sitting on something special, but like,
you'd be writing some books and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the truth is, like, we were making decisions, like critical decisions every single day based on like the way that content was performing, the feedback we were getting from the community. But as soon as like we started to get traction, we knew this was our on-ramp for a rebrand. We knew we needed a deeper storyline beyond just the like smashing of cans. we knew that we needed to up the creativity with the smashing of cans to hold people's interest. And so we started to sort of make a plan and put those things into action. You know, the boss storyline became pretty critical to this whole thing because I think it just really tapped a nerve with you know, everyone who's sort of not just had an unsupported boss, but everyone whose ideas were never really validated or believed in, you know, and we've all have that story in some way, shape, or form.
Especially the younger generation, you know, being able to relate with Nicole specifically, being younger and having an older boss who's like saying that this new social thing's not going to work. It's just a fad and stick to the traditional ways and blah, blah, blah.
Totally.
Yeah, it was 100% believable for sure.
Yeah.
And really relatable.
Yeah. I mean, I think what was interesting too was we were pretty surprised early on, very early on, I don't think people knew what to understand. In the middle of this, you know, we were sort of surprised because like we were intentionally doing things that would lead one to believe that this wasn't real. Like, you know, sharing internal communications with like your boss or like, you know, a boss really like the way that I, you know, played that character was like so painful for me because it was like so insanely unsupportive. Like it was totally unbelievable. We really did like expect that everyone would be like, okay, this is a bit, but I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But there were certainly a large percentage of people who were like, no, this is real. This is totally real. And like,
your boss is an asshole. Yeah.
Your boss is a total asshole. And I am a member of the Smash Army and I'm going to the grave until this, like, if this girl doesn't get a promotion, like I'm going to do everything in my power. Which was pretty wild and somewhat unexpected.
Nicole, when did you start seeing a correlation between views, impressions, increased follower counts, and like revenue, sales?
I think it was the first time that Mike did a story post when we started introducing the storyline. And I forget what it was, but somewhere along the lines of, oh, I'm meeting with my boss, Mike, you know, it'd be a shame if sales were increased or something to that effect. But if I'm not mistaken, Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was when we specifically tied buying the product to what was happening.
Like supporting the cause.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the immediate effect was everyone was, because we weren't asking people to do anything, everyone was going to the website. They're like, all right, what the heck is this? So we saw this massive jump in this huge spike in website traffic really early on. And then, I think early on we introduced like, you know, it would be a shame if we broke a sales record today. And then that day we absolutely smashed a sales record. And then basically from there on out, the army, you know, the Smash Army saw it as their like, you know, they basically they took it and ran with it. It
was their task for the mission to be accomplished. Yeah. Their marching orders.
Totally. And like, look, we did some other fun things too. Like if you went to the website, you would get like a little pop-up and the pop-up would say like, here for Nicole the Intern. And she claims all of this traffic is coming from her can smashing. If so, enter your email. And if not, like, I have no idea, or it's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And we almost, I mean, I don't know what the final number is, but it's around 100,000 emails that we received in people in support of Nicole through the whole campaign. And
wow.
Yeah, like people really like, you know, I mean, like fun little things like that people were like, I'm here for this banter.
Mike, you're a marketer. Estimate for people listening who don't have a full context as to what 100,000 emails means for a company's health. Estimate what you think it would cost to acquire 100,000 emails through paid traffic campaigns.
Oh my God. Like hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
If you got a strong CPL. Yeah. You're
I mean, look, like we had been around for a long time prior to that. We had some huge activations and our whole email base was less than 10,000.
Yeah.
This was, you know, almost 100,000 in less than 60 days, basically.
Essentially for free. 100%
for free. I mean, well, except for the cost of ultimately doing this thing. But yeah, we we did not boost anything. We ran no paid on this page at all.
But then also like the total impression count and the total warm audiences that you can now send paid traffic to with much higher conversion likelihood on retargeting campaigns is insane.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that like, we've had an 800% increase in sales since the beginning of this thing, and it's completely transformed the business. But what we haven't even said is like, we actually haven't truly started our digital marketing efforts because we've been so focused on the organic side.
True. Yeah.
There's so much potential coming down the pipeline in terms of retargeting and engage email and engaging that base even further. So, more often than not, people go to your site and they'll leave an email, but they won't purchase anything. It takes those second, third, fourth touch points to get them to do it. So I suspect like we'll be feeling the benefit of this for several months to come.
That's very long tail. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful part about like building the brand and the culture and the community is like those things are such long tail things. They're not going to go away anytime soon. Nicole, what was the most surprising part about doing all of this? Like obviously like revenue, great, sales, awesome, virality, super cool. But like stuff that happened on the back end that maybe the people didn't see, right? Like people DMing you or random connections that happened. What were some of like the cool things that came out of this for you?
Oh my gosh, there were so many. Honestly, one of them is just a personal note is how awesome it was to see myself rise to the challenge where that third video happened. And then Mike was like, let's go to Home Depot and let's just find a bunch of different weapons and start smashing stuff. And so from there, just my wheels started turning. And then every day it was part nerve-wracking, but also part really cool and fun where, I think as people, like when you get an opportunity, it's just really awesome to see yourself rise to the occasion. And we just created these super fun videos that people loved. So I think in terms of the campaign itself, it was really cool to see how much community support there was. I mean, I've never experienced anything like this by and large I'm only 24, but still like, it was just wild to see how much people enjoyed what we were doing. And yeah, I think that's probably the most surprising thing.
How early on did GaryVee start watching you guys?
Very
immediately.
Early.
Yeah, I was going to say it was so funny because within days of like finding your account, actually, I think it was because of your post that you collabed with GaryVee on that made me see what was going on. And then I went down this whole rabbit hole, just like, who is this? What's happening? I went like all the way back to the beginning, like read the whole thing. I'm just fascinated by that stuff just because that's what I do for a living is interview people who do interesting, cool things. And I have this like curiosity itch that has to be scratched. And then randomly, like 2-3 days later, I'm listening to Chris Williamson's podcast and he had just interviewed GaryVee on the show. And then he was asking him like, hey, are there any like up and coming creators that you're watching or whatever? And he was like, I hesitate to say them. He's like, cause I don't want to like send traffic to stuff. I just like to observe and see what's happening. So,
right.
And but he mentioned something about this intern who he had his eye on, who was like creating videos with their boss or something. And I was like, that's gotta be them. Right.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, and that was like less than 1,000 followers or less than 2,000-3,000 followers or something. Right.
Yeah. It was even earlier. Yeah. I think she had maybe a couple hundred followers at the beginning, and Nick Dio, who works with Gary, found the account and sent a message like, love what you're doing. I think it was more of a recruiting message. Nick, thanks, man. Yeah. It was like, love what you're doing. If you ever want to come work for VaynerMedia, like, let us know, or something like that.
Yeah.
And we just immediately started engaging. We're like, thanks. Why don't we start with having Gary smash a can with us or something like that,
Yeah.
He like kind of laughed, and we then used that clip from that podcast that you were saying when he mentioned there's this intern. I think she's got like 37 followers and he like is talking about her clearly. We used that as a post and we were like, oh my God, GaryVee has noticed our can smashing. Like, let's get Gary. So we flagged it to them again, and then the community activated around it, and they were like, Gary, do it. Come on, Gary, join the fun. Like everyone like really went hard on it.
Don't be a square, Gary.
Totally. And they're like, she's literally practicing what you preach. Like, you've got to be a part of this thing. So it was around like, we basically would like send Nick little like waving emojis every couple days, just to like, kind of in a fun way say, hey, like, we're still here. We still, we still want to do this. But it was around 400,000 followers that he like reached out, and he was like, all right, Nicole, it's go time. Like, we're gonna get you out to New York. Let's do this thing.
Nice.
Yeah, that's how it all went down. They were so generous to have us out there. I was so impressed with what they've built with VaynerMedia, and it was really cool to get out there and meet those guys.
Top 3 can smashes for you. What did you have the most fun doing?
Number 1 was Pixar, for sure. That one was so fun because it was probably one that was most outside my comfort zone, where it had been requested so much by the Smash Army. I was like, okay, Nicole, I've got to make this happen. How am I going to make this happen? So that was really fun to come up with that one. I think number 2 was probably the Super Mario one, because that also, I had this vision, but I was like, how am I going to bring this to life? Here I go. And then number 3 was our Jurassic World one that Eli, our videographer, did towards the back half of the campaign, because it's just brilliant. It's hilarious.
Were your favorites at all correlated with the ones that were most viewed, or what were like, I could go look at it right now, but what are the top like couple of ones that got crazy views or traction?
Yeah, I was going to say, I would have to look at the numbers, but I think Pixar is, oh gosh, I think it might be
8.2 million. Right now.
Okay, I was going to say 10 million. So yes, definitely by far one of our most viewed. People loved that one. And then people loved this really funny Cotton Eye Joe one where I just smashed a bunch of cans. That wasn't necessarily like, that was just goofy. It didn't necessarily require a lot of strategic, creative thinking. But yeah, I think the Pixar one is one of our most viewed ones.
I thought the one to close it out too, the Joker, was pretty solid work, Mike.
Thank you so much, man. That was
you really just dove.
That was a lot of fun. I you know what, I was like, if I'm gonna do this, like, I gotta just let my freak flag fly. You know what's interesting, Travis, is there really wasn't a correlation between when we upped the production value of the videos to the number of views at all. We would get deeper engagement when the production value went, and the increased production value was appreciated by the community that had been there from the beginning.
Sure.
But it wasn't necessarily creating more viral moments. In fact, if you really look at the numbers, like the content that went the most viral was kind of the more simple stuff that actually didn't have elaborate storylines or high production or like crazy well edited. Which is like, I think should be really promising for people who are listening to this thing. Like, if you go back and look at all this, look at the early videos with millions of views, like, it was literally Nicole and her roommate in her backyard with like an idea, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was really very, very simple.
Yeah. You can't substitute for a good story. You can't out quality a good story.
Yeah. I think people just like the authenticity of like of the like simple stuff. Like they
Sure.
don't, no, I don't think, like, I know, like the high production stuff, this is, the most savvy brands now are just kind of taking a back step and saying, like, we don't need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for these flashy ads anymore. I mean, look at what Kanye did in the Super Bowl.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
Things like that. It's yeah, simple is better these days.
With all your expertise in marketing, would you say at this point, from everything that you've seen, that like organic is still kind of is like king in that sense in 2024, especially if you're in these like hyper competitive spaces like beverage brands?
No, I mean, I think there is so much potential with organic right now. It used to be, for consumer brands, on the performance side, on the paid side, before like all the changes to Facebook's privacy policies and cookie tracking and all of that, like it used to be that you could very reliably, know that you were going to put in $5 and you were going to get $10 out of it.
Yeah.
Now the performance marketing stuff is far more challenging than it used to be. However, I don't know if this was done intentionally. The platforms have really started to weight their organic algorithms to be really favorable for those who kind of want to focus around that. And I think organic right now is 100%, the path for consumer brands and creators, just, focusing around just creating interesting, unhinged, in some cases, just unique moments that stand out and don't like, I look back on this, like, thinking about, we did look at a lot of what other people were doing. And I think maybe in the early days, like that was our biggest mistake, quite honestly, is like, we were trying to kind of see if other people were doing interesting things. And actually we didn't get our idea from another brand at all. Like we got our idea from just a creator who was just having some fun. So yeah, I think it's a really fun time to be a creator. It's a really fun time to be a marketer. To be able to amass hundreds of millions of views without spending much money at all is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that's wild, man. 100,000 emails is no small thing in that short period of time. That's wild. Nicole, how many cans did you smash in 60 days? Do you know?
Oh gosh. I'm telling you, if I got to put together a BTS of all the bloopers, because that would be so good. It would be so good because those suckers are kind of hard to smash a little bit. Like it would take me 3-4 times to really, and by the end, I've had a strategy where we might pop the tab a little, let the pressure out. I've like tried needles. So, I mean, hundreds? I honestly don't know if I could give a great estimate.
No, it's definitely thousands, Nicole, because we did.
You think it's thousands?
Well, we blew up a pallet at the end. So, I mean,
we did blow up a pallet.
It's with the pallet explosion, probably, I did like some rough math, between 2,000 and 3,000, I think. But look, like we needed to get rid of this product anyway. And this product was
true. Yeah.
This product was either expired or soon to be expired. It wasn't product that we could sell.
Yeah.
So it just kind of worked really well. Like we needed to destroy it, and we were going to have to pay to actually have someone destroy it.
Yeah.
So
killing two birds with one stone.
Exactly.
Classic. Yeah. Great work. Okay. Smashed. Was Smashed always going to be the rebrand? Did this legitimately come from people suggesting it in Smash Army? Like where did that concept come from? No,
Smash was never in the conversation at all when we were talking about rebrand prior to this campaign. I don't know in terms of timing, like when we introduced the rebrand storyline to when we trademarked it, but we knew that the Smash Army was going to land something like around somewhere, like something around Smashed or Smash,
Course, yeah.
And we also knew that like the truth was, no matter what, we needed to be able to trademark this thing. And if we announced that we were doing a rebrand early on, we probably would have run into issues with securing things. So we basically did the best we could to secure the name that we thought would be the closest to what, the community wanted and that we could defend. We could defend legally, quite frankly, because we needed to be able to do that. because look, if we had crowdsourced an idea for the name and then we couldn't trademark it, like what, it would just be kind of it'd be a step back. So,
okay. I think that pretty much wraps up the majority of my questions. But I got one quick round for you guys here at the end. So this is like a version of underrated, overrated. Okay. But just for you guys, we changed it from underrated, overrated to smash or pass.
Oh yeah.
Okay? I'll kind of direct it as best I can so that we get clear answers from both of you. Let's go. Mike, Meta Threads, smash or pass?
Pass. Hard pass. It was cool early on. I got into it early on, but it's just not super engaging to me anymore. And I'm not spending any more time on it.
That's kind of how I feel. Nicole, posting daily, pass or smash?
Smash, but I would like to pass. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's so necessary, but it's really hard to do.
Fair enough. Mike, White Claw, smash or pass?
Oh, I got to do hard pass on White Claw for multiple reasons. One, I don't really like the product, and two, I don't really drink very much anymore. So, but yeah, I'll pass on White Claw.
Yeah, you can't.
We're coming for them.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't smash when you're literally the antithesis to
exactly.
Yeah. Nicole, YouTube Shorts, smash or pass?
Smash. Yeah, smash. I like YouTube Shorts.
Did you guys do a bunch on YouTube?
We didn't. No.
Okay.
We tried. Basically like, because we were so like, we were trying to manage the community really, really well. Like we could not, it was really hard to try and activate multiple platforms for this campaign. So we did do some on YouTube early. We were cross-posting to YouTube and TikTok, and then decided to just go all in on doing really well on one platform. Okay. And
probably smart. All right, Mike, smash or pass, Raising Cane's?
Raising Cane's, I'm embarrassing. I can't probably give you an answer because I don't know that it's a fast food place.
It is.
Oh my God, Nicole's appalled.
Shocked. Yeah. Shocked.
It's so good.
Nicole's appalled.
Obvious smash from Nicole.
Nicole smashes it. I'm a boomer, so I don't know what it is.
Well, also you've been in Costa Rica for quite some time, so
yeah, no,
come back to the mainland.
Yeah,
you come to Texas and
exactly
get some Raising Cane's.
Exactly.
Real quick, Nicole, smash or pass, paid traffic?
Oh, pass.
Yeah, you got to say pass because you crushed it.
I got to say pass
with organic. Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
That's right.
All right, one more for both of you. Smash or pass, Game of Thrones?
Oh, smash. Such a hard smash for me.
You said pass, Nicole?
Yeah. I'm a sitcom girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite sitcom?
New Girl.
Oh, that is.
I was Jessica Day for a solid year of my life. Talked like her. Wanted to look like her.
A really, really solid show. Yeah, I like that one a lot. I'm a big sitcom guy myself, but I also am not a crazy, and I enjoy Game of Thrones. So,
yeah, what? Oh my God, I can't even believe that we're even having this conversation.
I know it's kind of relevant because House of Dragons coming out in like a couple of days. This season 2. So, but I'll probably wait till the whole thing comes out to watch it. To be honest,
I've never seen it, so honestly, I probably should. I should watch it.
You've never seen any of them?
No.
Well, not to shame you on social media. But
I know, shame.
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. I can be
shamed. Shame.
I was
report back
if you watched it.
I was definitely adamant about the Game of Thrones Daenerys Targaryen smash that we did.
Yeah, were you just completely out of the just out of pocket on that one, Nicole? Just had no idea who you were dressed up as? Or what?
No, I was like, this is so weird. I was like, you want me to do what?
Especially when we dubbed it with the Valerian overlay. Yeah. She was like, what is happening right now? This is I was like, trust me, it's going to be weird.
Exactly. Weird is good. I mean, you're the mother of dragons. Okay.
Exactly.
It's a real thing. It's a real thing. All right. Well, guys, we're coming up close to our time. I really appreciate both of you guys taking the time coming on. Talk to me about what's next. Obviously, like you have this big, huge campaign that gets a crazy amount of impressions, 800% increase in sales, 100,000 emails, smash thousands of cans, rebrand, like this, all this crazy stuff happens in like a 60-day period of time. How do you at all like keep this momentum pushing forward? What's your plan moving forward now?
It's a really good question. Something that we honestly didn't have a lot of time to think about during the campaign because we were just, focused on the campaign. However, right now, the main priority is to get the new product live, shipped to customers. It's available for pre-order right now on smashedwithnoe.com.
Great domain, by the way.
Yeah. We were able to get that one pretty early on. And so we want to get the product live, and we are in the process right now of basically scripting out what is going to happen for the next campaign. But there will be another campaign launching sometime in July. We've got some really, really, really fun ideas. And I think between now and then, we are actively seeking out ways to get the community more invested in the success of the company. So they are really largely the ones who've gotten us to this point. The Smash Army, it's the reason why we're here right now.
Yeah.
And so we're looking for some very non-traditional ways to give them the opportunity to participate in any success of the company. Should we have more success, or when we have more success. And so that is something we're going to try and share more on over the coming days and weeks here.
That's great, Ben. That's awesome. Love to see that kind of innovation, and giving flowers to the community for supporting and really jumping behind the cause and getting you guys to where you are now. So congratulations to you, Nicole, and to you, Mike. Nicole, I assume you got some sort of a promotion during this.
Oh yeah, just Chief Smash Officer. Not a big deal.
Chief Smash Officer or Chief Smash Officer?
Chief Smash Officer.
Chief Smash Officer.
Kind of a mouthful.
CSO. Yeah.
It's just a CSO.
I'm the CSO. I'm the CSO.
Well, congrats, guys, on all the success. I love seeing stories like this. They come to fruition. It's always really cool to see cool people doing cool stuff and then get their flowers and make things happen. So I know you don't need another one, but I'm a fan, and I'll continue to be a fan and continue to support the community as much as I can. Appreciate you both for taking the time to come on the show. And for those listening, be sure to go check out Smashed, as well as at The Best Marketing Strategy Ever over on Instagram as well. Go follow them. Tell them you heard about them here on the show. And guys, thanks so much for doing this. It's a lot of fun.
Thanks so much, Travis. Great to meet you.
Thank you.
I actually have my own podcast.
Do you?
Of sorts.
Okay.
It's so not as professional as this, but so this is really fun. This is a real deal.
Wait, what's your podcast though?
It's called Rise Above, and it's for my social impact initiative platform. Basically, it's just, we have a really way too fancy of a name for it, but it's for Miss Texas.
Oh, okay.
So the premise is interviewing people who have amazing life stories and have, conquered feats of adversity. I interviewed this one guy who became a paraplegic from a skiing accident, a lady who was in a coma for 2 months from a car accident, a mom whose 3-year-old died from a button battery ingestion. So yeah, just stories of encouragement for people.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I definitely have some guests to send your way. I'll put you in a group chat if it's cool with my chief of staff, Joanna.
Okay.
So my business is called Guestio. So we do guest and show bookings. That's literally what we do. So,
that's cool.
So not only have I interviewed a ton of people that would probably be a good fit, but also we have people that they're in our software and our agency, and they're actively trying to get booked on podcasts. So, and there's a few that come to mind that match that exact premise. So
cool.
Yeah, we'll shoot over some people.
Yeah, it's I haven't posted on it in a while. It's probably been about 7 months. So I would love to pick it back up, though, especially depending on how Miss Texas turns out. But I've realized that running a podcast is kind of like a part-time job. Full-time job. Especially if you're going to be this legit. And I was like, wow, this is a lot of work.
Yeah, no kidding. You are not wrong. It is a lot of work. Sometimes I wonder why I do it.
Is it your full-time job?
Ish. It's basically like the catalyst for everything I do.
Okay.
But my like full-time thing is running Guestio.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But it was because it was like I started the podcast, and then after doing it for like a year, realized that it was going to be a long road to making money, like making enough money doing just that to be able to quit what I was doing. So like starting businesses in the podcast space enabled me to like quit what I was doing at the time to pursue that world more. So I've had like 4 businesses, but all of them in the podcasting world, just so I can like keep doing my podcast, because that's really what I like doing the best. So
yeah,
if I can make as much money podcasting as I do from my business, then I would just do the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've got a great voice for it.
Thank you.
It's very chocolatey,
Appreciate that.
soft.
It's really, the microphones help me out a lot, is really what it is.
Really? Yeah. That's talking into a mic versus in the beginning, I just did Zoom. I didn't even have mic or anything.
Any mic makes a huge difference. Even if it's like a $20 like headset, like Logitech headset mic. You know what I mean? It's like so much better than just doing it in your computer.
Yeah.
Are you still doing like any content outside of First Smashed?
For Smash?
Yeah, like anything besides that. I'm saying like for your personal stuff.
For my personal stuff, for sure. Miss Texas.
Wait, do you have a personal Instagram then?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I followed you on there.
Yeah, I love creating content. I've kind of had a hard time finding a niche that I really enjoy.
Tell me about it. Yeah. It's really difficult.
Yeah, it's really.
I feel like once I start doing it, I stop caring about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I get so bored.
Yeah.
That's my point. You know what I mean? I get bored of just always trying to come up with stuff for that particular topic or whatever. That's why I rebranded the show. This show used to be called Build Your Network. Mm-hmm. And it was just like networking and how to, get in touch with people and blah, blah, blah. And I got so bored of that. So we rebranded to Travis Makes Friends, which just really is vague enough to allow me to really like pursue whatever I'm interested in. You know what I mean? So we have a wide variety of different guests now, which is not optimal for growing the show. It's like the opposite of what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to niche down and you find your audience, they're interested in the topic, and then they get to build a relationship with you. And it's like, if I'm coaching somebody and teaching them how to podcast, I'm telling them to do the exact opposite of what I do. But also like, if you're going to do something, it should excite you. You know what I mean? And
I agree.
It stopped exciting me.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you kind of have the benefit of, you probably have so many different people. I mean, you just interviewed the GameStop person. Like, that's so cool. And then going to this, where we're just, a social media campaign. And I mean, it's so different.
Earlier interview today is a guy who came up with a procedure to do male enhancement. And like in the first ever like safe way possible, whatever. I saw him on Tom Segura.
No.
They're comedians with massive podcast. I saw him on there, and then they pitched him to me, and I was like, that sounds really interesting. Let's bring that guy on. So yeah, that's my point, is like I had that guy in earlier, and they do millions, obviously, because they have a safe procedure for doing that. So they're crushing it. And then had that guy in, the GameStop founder, who was also the CEO of Kinko's that sold to FedEx for like 2.3 billion. So he was a fascinating conversation. Then we're going to have a social media marketing conversation. So yeah, they're a wide variety. I'm having an NBA player on in a couple of weeks. There's just like, it just scratches the curiosity itch. You know what I mean? I'm just curious about a lot of things. So it helps me to be able to talk to whoever I want and ask them whatever I want,
Mhm.
It gets the perfect excuse.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And for you meet all these cool people.
Yeah.
That's
right.
awesome.
Exactly. It
You
can't
know?
hurt to have that guy's number. You know what I mean? Like,
It's kind of like Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
a little bit. I
Rogan's
feel
very
like.
much that way. He's
Yeah.
the king of it, and he gets away with not niching down because of who he is and because he's like the guy. You know what I mean? But like, to be fair, what I tell people is like, when he started podcasting, that was a niche. Because back in the day, like when he started, the only like shows with traction were kind of more the produced shows that were more like extensions of radio networks. So there wasn't really this like independent creator talking about everything from comedy to psilocybin to, you know, like aliens and shit. Like he literally, like he talks about whatever, but at that time it was a niche. You know what I mean? Like it didn't exist. So now everybody tries to get in, and everybody, because I used to coach people that were like starting podcasts, and I don't know how many times people would be like, I just want to be like Joe Rogan. And I'm like, okay, well, you can, but nobody's going to listen to you talk about random things. Because first of all, you're not that interesting. You know what I mean? Like Joe Rogan was an interesting guy when he started already. Yeah. You know, he was already the host of Fear Factor. You know, he was already a stand-up comic. He was already in a sitcom. He already was like a, you know, Taekwondo champion. Like he was intrinsically interesting dude. And then he started a show interviewing his buddies who were also just a random collection of eclectic individuals that had really interesting things to say. It's just like, most of the time it's like, bro, you and your buddies in your garage are not going to say anything interesting. Nobody's going to listen to that except for you guys. Right. Like, you're just going to send your own shit to each other and that's it. Nobody else is going to tune in.
Yeah. But I think that's something so beautiful about podcasting is it really humbles you. That I'm like, wow, I'm so cool and fun and interesting. And then I tried to make a few episodes just by myself. And I was like, oh, maybe I should live a little bit of life before.
Exactly.
Like,
well, I started my show when I was 24. Is when I started my show. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was exactly my thoughts. I was like, well, nobody's going to listen to what I have to say. So that's why I did 100% interviews for like 4 years before I ever did anything that was like by myself. Cause I was just like, I don't really have much to say at this point in my life. I'm more just doing this to learn from everybody else. But it also was a great tool for that. So learned a lot from a lot of people, and it connected me to a ton of people that became like mentors and things like that for me. So it was a really great tool for that. Specifically, for sure. Yeah. And I highly recommend it.
Yeah. That's honestly kind of the mindset that I have just as a businesswoman and in my career, is that my 20s are kind of my time for listening. And that's what, like with Mike, with Christina, especially my first experience working in a startup culture, which is so much different than the corporate world.
Yeah.
I am just so fascinated by everything that they say. Yeah. Because it's one, I've just never really heard people talk the way that they talk because they're dreamers and there's not really any walls or any, ceilings of things that they can or can't do.
Right.
And so I love listening, and I feel like a lot more younger 20-year-olds, if they did that, it would be better.
Yep, for sure. I was told anytime a young person asks me for that advice, it's always like, prioritize learning over earning when you're in your 20s. Just like keep your expenses low, keep your lifestyle bloat low, don't spend a lot of money, live as lean as you can, and learn as much as you can. Because like earning power will come. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to go earn $1 million a year at 24 or 28 or whatever. Just like earning will come if you go learn a bunch of stuff and get good at something, which is what you're doing. So good job.
Thank you. Well, I think it is hard for kids my age. I mean, we're not kids, but we're young adults, just because we are always surrounded by instant gratification, and especially with social media. I was actually listening this morning. I listen every day to the Morning Brew Daily Show.
Okay.
And with Neil and the other guy. I love them. I think they're great. But they were talking about this proposed legislation to put a warning label on social media, which was really such an interesting concept.
Yeah.
But I almost kind of agree with it, because you just, open social media and immediately I see all these people my age who are doing these amazing things or have a lot of money and live very lavish lifestyles. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't believe I'm driving a beat up 12-year-old Mazda. You know?
Right.
And it's easy to fall victim to that.
Absolutely it is. And the most insidious part of it to me is that the majority of that isn't real. You know what I mean? Like those people going on lavish trips and doing all those things, like it's because like they met some random person who's paying them and they're doing something else in exchange for it. Or like there's just so much of it that's they put it out as though it's because of them when it's absolutely not. Like it's like their buddy got a free trip and they're there, but they're presenting it as though like they paid to be at the Four Seasons in Hawaii. And it's like, you didn't do that. You know what I mean? Like that's not your car, you know, but like you take pictures with it like it is. It's just like it almost promotes this just like gross misrepresentation of reality that causes that comparison bully to show up in your mind and start beating you up for how bad you are at everything. And it's like, that's just like, you're not even comparing yourself to a version of reality that exists for that person. Mm-hmm. And even if it did, that doesn't mean that you're doing poorly. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it is really difficult to like keep that mindset because that's the stuff that gets shared. That's the stuff that gets liked. That's the stuff that gets comments. So it's what pops up first, you know, in your feed all the time. So you have to like constantly be curating everything that goes in and out. Even news sources, media sources, like all those things. It's vitally important to keep a filter, whether it's like a real filter on your actual phone or it's just a mental filter, you know what I mean? Or like just times of the day where you don't log in or whatever it is. It's like, there's gotta be something on it, and warning labels around it might be, you know, something like, I think in the next like decade or so, we'll have something figured out. Because, you know, I was going to say our generation, I feel like you're Gen Z though, right?
I think I almost missed the cutoff.
Yeah.
Do I? I was born in 99.
I think that's Gen Z.
Is that Gen Z? Okay.
I really don't know, to be honest with you. I was born in 92, so I know I'm a millennial, but I also know that I'm like one of the younger millennials because I think people who are in their 40s are also millennials. I don't know. Anyway, our generation, meaning that like we are the first ones to have to deal with the repercussions of social media being something that's been a part of our daily lives for a long time. So just like any new, you know, invention, any progress, any new technology, there's going to be a lot of really good things to come with it. And there's going to be a lot of really bad things to come with it. And it's the responsibility of the people who are making it be that readily available to come up with the safeguards that are going to, you know, prevent the issues that have been happening so far with it. I think anyway, you know, knock on wood, hopefully that's what ends up happening. Hopefully we're a smart enough generation to figure out how to not fall prey to this stuff that's not even real, you know?
Yeah. Well, I've honestly seen a lot more content, and maybe it's just the algorithm feeding it to me because they know I agree with it. But it seems like a lot more parents are realizing how harmful social media and phones are for their kids.
Yeah.
So I've just seen, I forget what it was, maybe some magazine or I don't know, that was that published an article about parents wanting to wait until high school to give their kids social media or whatever. And
sure.
I think that's great because I nannied in college and I just saw these sweet little kids that were like 7, just so addicted to not wanting to play outside. And I'm like,
7 is young.
It's so young. It's so young. It just kills me because we lived on a farm. I have 4 sisters and my parents were just like, bye, have fun. Yeah, so we just wandered around the property and made up games. And
you're from Texas then originally?
And characters. Yeah. I grew up 45 minutes away from here. Okay. Or 40 minutes. Yeah. In a town called Flower Mound.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know Flower Mound. Yeah. That's a nice town.
Yeah, it's super nice.
Booming, no?
Oh my gosh, so much. When my parents bought land there, so cheap, no residential housing, you know, the whole mall strip, the shops of Highland Village, that didn't exist.
Wow.
And then over the 20 years that we lived there, it just exploded.
Yeah.
So it was really nice where we lived out in the country and we had our own plot of land, but then you go up the road and there's a whole shopping mall.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
And you got Dallas right here.
Yeah.
Like
No,
it's a
yeah.
massive city. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was really great.
Where did you go to college?
Texas Tech,
Okay. For what?
business management.
Okay. So you did go for business.
I did.
Okay.
I did. Originally poli-sci with a Latin minor because I was convinced I was going to be a lawyer.
Okay.
And then I actually did a door-to-door sales job
Did you?
for 2 summers and
What'd you sell?
books.
Books.
So books,
What kind of books? Like,
educational.
interesting.
Yes. So little people books, the color, shape, number, word, up to SAT prep with the Princeton Review.
Interesting. What was your pitch?
Oh gosh, couldn't even wonder if I could pretend that you're a mom. I'm knocking on your door. Well, when you would find the right house, because our half the houses were not
That's
our target audience,
right.
because their kids were gone. The goal was always just to get a sit down with the family and get the whole family involved, and then the pitch was different depending on what it was.
Yeah.
So if it was high school students, then I would do that sales talk. If it was the preschool or kindergarten, then we had an app that went along. So everything that the kids did in the books, they would go on the app and it would be the same thing.
How do you like it?
It was really terrible, actually. It was terrible. It was terrible, but it was.
I love how the honesty just had to come out again there. You were at first really about to just lie and just say
No,
it was really, really terrible.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like
you did it for 2 summers though.
I did, and I tell everyone that I talk to about it. It's called Southwestern Advantage.
Okay.
It's the oldest internship in America. It started off as selling Bibles door to door back in 1920 something, the Great Depression, 1927, I think. But it's like a boot camp. So we wake up at 5:59. We run to the bathroom, take a cold shower, do 10 push-ups. We do these exec exercises outside, and then we work from 7:31 in the morning to 9:59 at night. So it's grueling.
Real door to door.
Monday through Saturday. Sundays were our off day. You work alone. And it was just intense. It was really intense. And it, to this day.
Did your parents make you do it? Or did you want to do it?
No, I decided to do it. Yeah. And it was in Georgia. First summer was Georgia. Second summer was Mississippi.
Ooh, summers in Georgia and Mississippi.
It was brutal.
Oof.
Yeah.
Man, that I did not realize. So it was more like a student development program than a door-to-door sales company.
Oh, totally. Yeah. We learned self-affirmations. There was a lot of, integrity and doing the right thing because no one's with you. So you either work or you don't work. There's no one that makes you work. And so I learned a lot that summer.
Did you get paid?
You did. You only commission.
Yeah, sure.
Only commission.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which is how it should be.
Right. The door-to-door sales. It's like, they're doing
you
what
you
don't.
kill. Yeah.
Yeah. But it didn't really click for me that first summer. So
naturally you did it for another summer.
I did. Only half of the second summer. But what's crazy is it finally clicked of I think just the skills that you need to be good at sales. And I made what I made in my first summer of 12 weeks in 5 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
nice.
I regret that I only did it was really 1.5 because it was only a 5-week summer that second time around.
Why did you stop the second time?
Miss Texas. And
okay.
Yeah, Miss Texas is during the summer.
Okay.
So it's hard to do both. And then also that year, I believe COVID happened. So
gotcha.
Yes, I remember I wasn't going to go out because Miss Texas was happening. Then the world shut down. Everything got canceled except for selling books.
Yeah, right. Well, you're by yourself. So.
And I was like, okay, why not? And so I just packed my car and drove to Mississippi and sold for 5 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And they don't really care. Mississippi and Texas were also fairly lax during COVID.
They did not care at all. Yeah. And I was selling in rural Mississippi. I mean, middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And just tiny towns. So it was fascinating to really, I feel like you really I don't know if there's another time in my life where I'll just experience American people. I mean, you talk to over 3,000 people that first summer, the full length, over 12 weeks. And it's cool.
Yeah.
You just meet a ton of people.
Door is the best crash course in like belly to belly selling that you can get for a few reasons. Cause like you could also do like telemarketing and cold calling and stuff. But the thing that I think you miss out on there is the body language piece. And there's a lot of studies on it, but I don't know which ones are 100% correct or whatever. But the rule that I always hear thrown around is the 738-55 rule, which is 7% of communication is the words we say, 38% is tonality, and 55% is body language. So if you are somebody who wants to improve on your communication skills or get better at communicating, or you want to be in a position of leadership or something like that, reading people's body language is a really important skill. And the only real way to get really good at it, besides like going to school for it, is to talk to a bunch of people from a bunch of different backgrounds, cultures, contexts, and try to read what they're actually thinking, because people lie when you're doing door to door. You know what I mean? Like you knock on a door and they'll just come up with something to not talk to you. And you have to be able to like fish out, is this person being for real? Are they not being for real? How can I overcome this? How can I get them to stay out on this porch with me for like 1 minute longer? Like, how can I get them to let me inside their house? Like there's so many things like that you have to pick up on to like build trust with people in that small of a period of time. Those skills are really valuable for the rest. Like, I feel like everybody tells people to do the thing that they did that was hard, at the beginning of their career. Like,
right.
You ever talk to like a waiter or waitress or something?
Yeah.
Like somebody used to wait tables, they'd be like, everybody should be in food service,
Right.
It's like, I tell people the same thing about door to door. It's like, I did door to door for like 5 years. Like
you did.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. So cool.
Like 5 different products, a bunch of different companies and locations and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, it's like battle training, you know what I mean? Like when I started my first company, it was only surviving because I knew how to sell. You know what I mean? Like there was no money involved. You know what I mean? It was just like, I got to come up with something to sell, and then I got to find people to sell it to and sell it to them. So like I had to learn marketing because I knew nothing about marketing.
Right.
I didn't know how to get people to come talk to me. You know what I mean? I was just used to going to them and knocking on their door and talking to them without them wanting me there. Right. So like, that's the unique thing about door-to-door companies is there's no marketing department. Mm-hmm. You are the marketing department and the sales department all in one, but you can get paid pretty well for it because of that. Because you get that excess margin. But then I started a company. It was like, and I got to learn how to like get people to come talk to me so that I can sell them. You know what I mean? But at first it was just doing the same thing I'd always done, which is just belly to belly, figuring out a way to get somebody on a phone call through DMing them and just striking up a conversation and then jumping on a call and selling them. But like, I wouldn't have known how to do any of that had I not done years of door to door. And it just teaches you the rejection piece is just so vital because you're going to run across it no matter what it is that you do. If you want to do anything really well, if you want to be really successful in anything, you're going to face rejection like constantly, nonstop. So if you don't grow thick skin at some point, it's really going to start hurting and make you not want to do whatever you're doing. So,
yeah.
But anyway,
I love that you did door to door. That's so awesome.
For a long time. And for me, it was more like, I don't have any other options.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. It was either like that or go work for somebody I didn't want to work for, making like 30 grand a year at an office job. You know what I mean? It was just like, I didn't have a degree or anything. So it was like, well, the option here is like work for myself on my own schedule. I was working for another company, obviously, but 100% commission. You work on your own schedule where you work when you want to work. Right. With the potential of making as much as I wanted to, obviously within reason. But that when I was 22, I was working door to door, and that was the first year I made 6 figures. Was door to door, 100% commission sales. But I would have made a third of that if I just was like, oh, let me just go get a job somewhere. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't have even been close to the same thing. And I would have had to work twice the hours. I was working like 20, 25 hours a week, and making 6 figures. I was like, this is a pretty good gig. It's like,
what were you selling?
At the time, I started in solar.
Okay. So
And then I sold alarm systems for a while, and then ended in water purification, which was actually like the biggest margins of anything that I sold. I got paid like $3,500 commissions on those. So that was right around the time I was starting the podcast. So it was like, it was good timing for me because I did not want to be in door-to-door anymore. But since those commissions were so big, I could go work for, 2 weeks and make like 10 or 15 grand and then take the rest of the month to try to focus on growing the podcast and moving my income to being online because I didn't want to be knocking doors anymore.
That's so fair. I don't know if you still have a good community of friends that you made when you go door to door. But I mean, I would say probably my closest friends, we all sold books together.
Oh, really?
And there's a bunch of guys that are all doing solar, like 3 of us in our friend group. They're all doing solar right now. I'm dating one of them.
Oh, really?
And he's an entrepreneur. One of the other guys is insurance. So he's cold calling. So they're just, you find good people to be around and, people that are really motivated and
for sure.
It's cool.
There's no shortage of stories of people who've built massive companies who started out doing something like that, whether it's cold calling, direct selling Tupperware in their living room, or doing door to door. John Paul DeJoria is probably the most exaggerated example because he's the founder of Paul Mitchell and Patron tequila.
Really?
So a couple multi-billion-dollar companies, and he started selling. I think he was selling encyclopedias door to door in his early mid-20s or something like that. He started off just selling encyclopedias door to door. The founder of Calendly sold alarms door to door. Calendly's a $30 billion company or something like that now. But yeah, there's so many examples because it's really just that. It's that rejection piece, which is what Guy Raz talks about a lot, the host of How I Built This. Which is a massive business podcast. He talks to all the big founders and stuff on there. That's what he says is the number one common denominator of all the guests that he's had is like, they just have this innate ability to get rejected and then move to the next opportunity. Like the previous rejection didn't happen. It's like, that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
You have to be able to do that. And it's a great skill to learn like really early on. You know what I mean? Especially if you're not used to being rejected a lot. So, okay. So, you did door-to-door for a while and it was terrible, but you got some great stuff from it. Yeah. School for business management, but you didn't end up doing anything in like marketing or anything right out of college, right? Where did you go work?
I was an IT recruiter.
Okay.
For Dexy and Dices. They went through a pretty large acquisition in the middle of my year that I worked for them, but I stayed with them a year. I wasn't a huge fan. No. Yeah. I actually knew by week 3 that I didn't want to be there, but I committed to myself. I had some mentors that had given me advice from graduating college and going into the workforce. They were like, don't quit your first job out of college until you've been there for a year. And whether or not that should be taken as truth, I did. And I was like, I just really leaned into it. And I was like, I'm just going to stick it out for a year and learn what I can learn. And I still learned good skills. It was cold calling, and I had done the face-to-face through the door-to-door sales, but I had not had a lot of experience with cold calling. Yeah. So I did that for a year.
That says a lot that you're willing to both do door-to-door and do cold calling. Yeah. I mean, it's no easy task, and a lot of people will not do it at all. So the fact that you're willing to do it, tells me that you're probably going to have a pretty long and successful career. So, yeah.
Thanks.
So you basically quit on month 12 or what?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I knew
I made it to my year.
See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I'm out. No, funnily enough, not funnily enough, I just did a mock interview. So part of Miss Texas Prep is you have a 10-minute official interview with the judges. And so we do all these mocks to practice. Just learned funnily is not a word. It's funny. So I think I say that all the time because in the past couple of days I've caught myself. So anyways, funny enough.
Wait, did you learn about that in the actual interview or in a mock interview?
In a mock. Oh, yeah. The actual interview is next Tuesday. Okay. But no, one of the fake judges was like, just by the way, funnily is not a word. And I was like, good to know. No, so like I said, I was a poli-sci major at the beginning of college, and I've always kind of been fascinated by politics and how the government works and news reporting. So I thought maybe I should be a political news reporter. So that was my initial vision, that I was going to quit Dexian and then go work on a campaign, somehow meet the right people, maybe go to DC. That did not pan out, unfortunately. But I think it really was for the best.
I was going to say, still unfortunately?
No. After having a lot of conversations with some friends who worked on campaigns, especially for the primary races, it's just, it doesn't seem like something I'd want to do. Not a lot of money and a lot of hard work, and I'm very money motivated. Mm-hmm. So I was like, that probably wouldn't jive with my personality. So then I was kind of stuck and I didn't have anything. And so that's where the story that I had told you with Mike of me finding Christina on LinkedIn, and I had just committed to do a year of no drinking on May 20th of last year. And I was super interested in finding good non-alcoholic beverages to drink. So I stumbled across Christina and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to learn from her.
You didn't know of her before?
I didn't.
It was like you just looked at her LinkedIn profile or something and you were like, this is awesome, or what?
I did. She popped up. Okay, this is where the story is kind of wild. And it's super cool. So I'd mentioned I'm dating someone that I'd sold books with. Mm-hmm. So he used to be one of Christina's employees for a company that she owned, which actually was an IT recruitment firm. I believe it's called Durian.
No way.
It's called Durian. She still has it. One of her other companies she sold for, I think a few years ago, but Durian Consultants she still has. So I did find her organically by myself. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at her profile, and my boyfriend happened to look over my shoulder at the exact time I was looking at her. And he goes, oh, Christina Roth? I used to work for her. I have her phone number. And so that's how I got on a call with her, was through him.
No way.
Yeah.
So you just got on a call and you were like, I want to work for you.
Yes.
I'll do whatever.
Yeah.
And she basically was like, no.
Yeah, I remember the call. It was on my birthday. It was on July 28th of last year. And I had found her because it was in that month of July was when I was job hunting like crazy because I knew I needed to find something. And I had found her earlier in the day. And I was like, we got to call her today. Can you shoot her a text? And, and so we chatted and I just listened to her talk about why she was passionate about the NA Bev space and why she started Mixoloshe. And I loved all of it.
Yeah.
And I just listened. And then I don't actually even really think I asked her for a job at that point. I really kind of just listened because we were getting to know each other. And she said, let's touch base next week and we'll talk. And so we did then the next week. And she was just really honest with me and said, hey, we're a startup. We can't afford to bring you on full time. We honestly can't even afford to bring you on part time at the moment because she was also slammed. So both financially and they didn't really have anyone to train me to do anything.
Yeah, right.
Because everyone was just full steam ahead.
Mode. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And we had that same conversation for about 3 weeks following that. And then a month later, I told her, I was like, hey, I know how to make TikTok videos. So what if I just start there? What if I just make some TikTok videos for you? And
for free.
For free. Yeah. So I made a few sample ones and she liked them. Yeah.
But that right there in and of itself is a great sales lesson. If you make people offers that they can't refuse, they tend to take you up on them. Yeah. So good for you. Because if you would have been like, I need to get paid, like I need a job, then probably wouldn't have happened.
No, it definitely wouldn't have happened. Yeah. Yeah. I really, and it's so funny too. I didn't get the chance to say this when you, Mike, and I were talking, but something that has just made me laugh so hard is that when she gave me the internship, which I literally was an intern, I was embarrassed. And I was like, I'm not putting that on my LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put consultant because I didn't want my friends to see. Yeah. And it's just so funny that now the fact that I was hired on as an intern has made what we just did in the campaign so crazy successful. And it was just such a good reminder for me that that's so dumb to be embarrassed by that. People don't care,
right?
What I'm doing or whatever. And I think that's funny. It was a good learning lesson for me.
Sure. It's an indicator that you're not playing the long game if you're worried about stuff like that too much. You know what I mean? Because it's like, all of people, especially, I mean, we're still pretty new to YouTube because we've been podcasting for almost 7 years, but we didn't start on YouTube till last year. I had this mental block about putting Zoom interviews on YouTube. So we didn't start doing YouTube until we committed to doing all of our interviews in person. So we're playing catch up over there. It was a dumb decision ultimately. Yeah. And should have just started when I had stuff, and it would have been 7 years of growing the channel instead of a year and a half. But anyway, so even now though, it's tough because I'll still get people that comment on videos sometimes, and they're, they'll just say something about why does this video have, 87 views or whatever? And it's hard to just sit there and take it while at the same time just being trust the process, because every single big YouTuber that I've ever talked to, all of my friends who have massive channels, all the people who I know who have millions of subscribers, they'll show me their stats. And it was year 0 to year 5 is their first 100,000 subscribers. And then 5 to 6 is their, then they jump from 100K to 900K. And then 6 to 7, they jump from 900K to 1.8 million. You know what I mean? It's every single person I know that's the journey. That's the process. Unless something goes crazy, then you just got to kind of stick with it and do it over a long period of time. And the consistency with the work will compound into success at some point. But if you let the little comments like that along the way deter you, then you never get to the year 5 when it can finally blow up. You know what I mean? Because it's just you guys are just you're thinking in the wrong terms. You're thinking in terms of this month. I'm thinking in terms of the next 10 years. What's the actions I can take today that will make sure in 10 years from now that I'll look back and say thank you to this version of Travis, rather than saying hey, thanks for quitting on that. That was a bad decision. You know what I mean? There's plenty of those in my life. I don't need another one of those. You know what I mean? Right. I quit playing golf when I was in 5th grade. It's you dumbass. That would have been helpful at this point if I kept with golf lessons, right. Piano lessons, same way. That would have been helpful. Yeah. But it's one of those things that I look at now and can clearly see. It's just it's just going to take time. Mm-hmm. And if you're worried about what people are thinking about you right now, my reply is always come see me in 10 years, see me in 10 years and we'll talk. If I'm still getting 32 views on a video in 10 years, then maybe we'll have a conversation about it, and probably I'll quit, I'll give in at that point, right. But I have this strange feeling that that's not going to happen, Yeah. So it just says, you have to think of it over that longer, time period. Success will always favor those who do. Okay, so let's get a little bit into the campaign then. We talked a little bit about it with Mike, and obviously we'll be releasing that interview as well. And Mike kind of spoke to a little bit more of the tactics and things like that he was thinking of throughout the campaign. So tell me from your perspective, Mike gets brought on board after you were already interning, right? And then he kind of sits in as interim CMO for a while. And then you guys start working together. What was your experience like coming on board? And what was your reaction when he told you we're going to copy this monkey video on Instagram and do it better?
Yeah. Honestly, I love saying yes to things. I think it's one of my best qualities that I'm just kind of not afraid to try anything. And I had already got some good practice of Mike's, not crazy. Crazy is not not a good word for it, but just Mike's ideas about how to be, strategic on social media. So for example, when we ran into the issue of the first Mixoloshe account being European, we had to make an entirely new account from scratch. And so that was a whole thing of me unfollowing a certain amount of people per day. I mean, it was so intricate, and Mike wrote out a whole plan, and I was like, okay, whatever we need to do, I'll do it. there were other ideas that he had too about making different versions of accounts that we tried. And really everything he threw out there, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And originally the idea was smashing a can for every follower that we got or something. So we had toyed around with this idea of maybe shotgunning a can or doing something with the cans and followers. And then it was at that time that either he remembered that he saw monkey marketing or he saw it at the time. I don't really know on his part, but he brought up the monkey marketing and he was like, wait, look what they did. This is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, cool. Okay. And he was like, yeah, go do it. Just get a bat. And I didn't have a bat. I did not own a bat. So I went to Walmart and got a bat. And then I went outside. And it was just so funny too, because I took it so not seriously at all. I mean, I didn't look presentable. I mean, like the camera's at a weird angle. It's overcast. I just look back at that video and I was like, this is ridiculous. And then that's how it started.
But only 3 videos in.
Yeah.
There was a third one, right?
He's the third one.
Like 3 million views.
Mm-hmm.
That's so wild.
And I still don't really understand it. Maybe the algorithm just pushed it out, and to me, it is kind of insane that can happen. I've never personally experienced that before, and it's very different from watching it happen to just some random person or thing online, because I've seen it before, obviously, but for it actually to happen to you is very weird.
Yeah. Strange.
Very weird. Yeah.
That many people that are all of a sudden like caring about your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was also this very weird dynamic too, where it was me, but it wasn't me still. Right now, it's me, but it's not me because people know Nicole the Intern.
Right.
They don't know Nicole Wingard.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Which is kind of cool.
Kind of like it's like your face is there, but it's the idea of a kind of a faceless account where it's like the account operates independently of Nicole Wingard, right? Like literally we sat down just now. I was like, do you have a personal Instagram? You know what I mean? Like I can, like, it's not even there. It's not present. It's not like seeable anywhere. Which is super unique and makes it really interesting and cool for the company too, obviously and for Mike to be able to come away with a win like that. And then both of you got promotions out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's the CEO now, right? And you are the, what was it? Chief Smash Officer?
Yes.
CSO. Yeah. You're in the C-suite, from intern to C-suite, smashing a few cans along the way.
Yeah. So funny.
I know we kind of already talked about top 3 Smash videos for you. What were some of the ones that you were reluctant to do?
Oh, gosh, what a hard question. Because kind of going back to what I had said earlier, there's not really much that I won't do. I was kind of down for anything.
Well, let me guess one.
Okay.
The Game of Thrones one.
I just was like, this is stupid.
Nobody's going to even get this. Yeah.
I'm going to have people come after me for saying Game of Thrones is stupid. I bet. That was the first thought in my mind, though. I was like, okay, I feel absolutely ridiculous. And especially because they had me do Dracarys, whatever. And I was like, this is so weird. I feel like I'm cosplaying or something. But
well, you basically were.
Yeah, essentially. Okay, I'll say the hardest one.
Okay.
Was the Steve Irwin one.
Mm.
And they had me crawling on these reeves.
Here is a Goliath, a champion of champions. I'm gonna crawl up on my belly to get right smack into the action. Look at him, a monster crocodile.
And I'm a little bit of a girly girl. I don't do well in the outdoors. I love looking at it from a window. Yes.
With a cup of coffee.
Yes. Yeah. And I used to kind of be embarrassed by that, but now I just fully embrace it. I'm like,
you do you.
Yeah. I'm going to do me. And then they're like, and it's freezing. We're in Oregon, the water. And they're like, yeah, so we're going to put the can in the reeds and then you need to army crawl. And then you have to jump and pretend it's an alligator and fight it in the water. And I was like, okay. So it was just so ridiculous.
So then you did it.
And I did it. Yeah. And I just wrestled this can in the water.
Who's they? Who's telling you to do this?
Mike and then our videographer,
Okay.
Eli.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was the three of us. We were like a team for about 3 weeks there. We traveled together.
I was going to say, how many places did you go smashing cans?
Vegas, Bend, and New York.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
Wait, why are those places specifically?
Vegas, because that trip was already planned. We were
Okay.
going to go to an expo show. And
Okay.
then Bend, because that's where Eli's from.
Oh, okay.
And so,
That's beautiful up there.
yeah, oh my gosh, it was gorgeous. It was so nice. And it was really great because it had a bunch of different scenes.
Sure.
So we could toy around with different ideas. And then New York to shoot with Gary. And
that's
then
right.
we just did a few other New York ones.
Nicole, your 4 o'clock's here.
Send them in.
How did the GaryVee thing come about?
That came about.
So I know they were following the campaign like pretty closely from the very beginning. Mike said they're trying to recruit you basically.
Yeah.
From like the first weeks of videos.
Yeah.
But at what point was Gary like, all right, I'm in, let's do a can smash?
So Nick Dio is, I actually don't know his official title, but from what he explained to me, his role is to look for new, upcoming, exciting things that are happening in the world. And very impressed that he found this account on, I don't know how many followers we had, but
No
it had to
kidding.
have been in the low hundreds.
Yeah.
I've heard 37, but I was like, there's no way. It had to have been maybe like 237 or something.
Yeah.
And so he finds the account, DMs, and says, hey, if this doesn't pan out, there's a spot for you at VaynerMedia. And I showed it to Mike. And so from there, we just kind of started, and Mike, he really took the lead, and he would just bug Nick
Yeah.
and send a little waving hand emoji and
Ready for a collab?
yeah, like, get Gary to collab with us. And then Gary did a podcast with, gosh, I wish I knew his name. He's got a buzz cut.
Yeah. Chris Williamson.
Yes, Chris Williamson. Yeah, so he was doing a podcast with him, and he mentioned me.
I remember
And
that. I listened to that episode.
oh, you did?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, and
I like Chris's show a lot.
oh, he's so cool.
Yeah.
Super cool guy. I really like, kind of a side tangent, but Andrew Huberman,
Mhm.
and what's his other really smart friend?
Lex
Yes.
Friedman.
I'm kind of bad with names if you haven't realized, but Lex Friedman, he's great. Jocko,
That
yeah.
whole vein of people. Yeah.
I really enjoy that personally. But anyways, so then we posted on our Instagram and Nick reposts it. And then the conversation started and we were like, how can we make this happen? And he said, when was the last time you were in New York? And I was like, not soon enough. I don't know
next
exactly
week,
what I said, but from there we got on a phone call, and this is funny. And I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit later on, but one of the biggest things I struggled with throughout this whole campaign was the fact that I saw it as such a joke and a bit, but then it turned into a thing that a lot of people took seriously.
Yeah.
And especially at that time in the campaign, I was really uncomfortable with just honestly the whole thing. I was really struggling with it. And Nick was like, hey, let's hop on a phone call. And I was actually so scared to talk to him because I was like, well, the first thing I'm going to say is, that Mike and I are working together, that Mike's behind this. And so I remember being so nervous, and Mike and I are sitting together, and because Mike was like, no, you need to be the one that calls him. And so I told him, I was like, hey, just for transparency's sake, you probably already know this, but I want to make sure that it's Mike and I. And he was like, oh yeah, no, I know. That made me feel so much better. That was kind of like a turning point.
Yeah.
Where I was like, okay, I think people that are in this world understand what's happening.
Right. Exactly. The people who actually like are marketers or whatever, like, oh, this is just brilliant marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Well, actually, I can't, like, I think I told you guys this. I came in pretty late. I think I actually discovered it through the GaryVee collab that you did. And then went and looked at the page and was like, what the hell is going on? What is this?
Right.
And then, got hooked into the story. But I think that had to be a huge reason that it ended up crushing so much. It's like people are just on your side. You know, they love that story, that underdog story. And it inevitably creates this open loop that you want to see closed. Like people are just closely following it, and like day 48, day 49, day 50, you know, and continuously smashing more cans in more ludicrous ways and seeing the account grow in real time. Like the people that are following from the beginning have that like audience pride to be like, I started following at 2,000 followers or whatever, you know what I mean? And then now it's sitting at whatever it is, 500 and something thousand. So at what point did you realize that, that you needed a strategy for when all of that was over?
Midway, probably around day 30.
Yeah.
Day 30 to 40. And it was because I was so in the weeds where it was almost like I couldn't get ahead of it.
Yeah.
Where I was waking up and coming up with these ideas the day of. And towards the end, I got better at being able to batch the content. Yeah. And make it ahead of time. And like, for example, that's what I did today in downtown filming a smash. But it was partly just because, as Mike likes to say, we were building the plane as we were flying it.
Yeah, right.
And a lot of times, and we really wanted every smash to be so good. And so it just took time and planning and costuming. And so I know since Mike was not a part of that for the beginning half, I'm sure he was probably thinking about it more, but I would say it wasn't until later part of the campaign I was like, wait, what are we going to do after this? Like, that's actually really important.
Yeah, for real.
For what's going to happen.
When you have a 60-day timeline that you've been setting up the whole time, you know, it feels like the story's done. So it's like, well, what do we do now to keep everybody hooked into what's going on in the story?
Yeah.
And it was cool to have Mike do the finale.
Yeah. He killed that. It was so good.
It was solid. I found out that was in Vegas.
Oh, the cinematic one.
Wait, which one did you say was in Vegas?
I was thinking the Joker.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, the Joker one is in New York.
Oh, gotcha.
Because it's, is it the Bronx, or it's that exact scene where Batman was filmed?
Okay.
I don't know what.
The Joker was filmed.
The Joker. Yeah. Same thing. I haven't seen it.
You're going to piss off some people by calling him Batman.
I'm like so low on my movie knowledge, so you'll have to forgive me. But yes, where the Joker was filmed, the cinematic one that we've used on the new Smash website and using for ads, that was filmed in Vegas.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Got it. Well, Nicole, thanks for coming on again. I know that we kind of did this the other day, but it just happened to work out. We're just on a Zoom call, and then I was like, oh, where are you based? I'm in Dallas. I'm like, oh, I'll be there in like 3 days. So happy we're able to, as I genuinely like that Zoom interview was the first Zoom interview I've done in a really long time. We committed to doing in person only like 2 years ago, and we rarely do Zoom, but it was just because like the timing and everything with you guys completing the campaign, I was like, well, we got to get this one like sooner rather than later. And so we were talking to your PR team, and they're like, well, we can get them both out there like sometime in like end of July or something like that. And I was like, it's like, that's pushing it way too far. Let's just do it on Zoom, you know? So yeah, I was glad that we were able to make this one happen. So honestly, I have no idea where we're going to put it, if we're going to release them both at the same time, if we're going to like make cuts and drop them both together or separate, or kind of leave it up to my producer. But I'm glad we're able to make it work and get some great, I guess higher quality content out of it so we can blast it out for you. So I absolutely love the story. I love seeing people come up with crazy ideas and win big. 800% increase in sales in 60 days. Like literally a company changing campaign, couple promotions out of it, probably a life-changing experience for you, especially as it relates to like your decision to change careers, to move into a field you didn't have any experience in, to work for somebody for free. And then to get this type of like overwhelming validation that you're in the right place, it's got to feel, pretty good. So
It does.
congrats
it's exciting.
on the success. Good luck with Miss Texas. Hope that goes well for you. And hopefully we can, do this again sometime.
Yeah, after our next campaign.
Yeah, true. That's true. We'll do a wrap up on that one. We'll just make it a regular wrap up for your guys' campaigns and chat all the numbers and stuff like that. So, Nicole, thanks for coming on and doing this again. Appreciate you.